What is going on, my guardian gamers? Is I, Birdman, back with another Destiny 2 video. And today I'm going to be talking about essentially the rankings for Titan subclasses in Season 23. So this is obviously going to be affected by the current artifact in Season of the Wish, and essentially just kind of where I find these all to land. Hopefully, if you've already seen my one from Season 22. There actually is going to be a bit of a ranking change in here, just because of, again, the artifact has come in pretty clutch for some stuff, while other things have fallen by the wayside. But now you can follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Birdman778. Give a thumbs up on this video if you agree with everything I'm saying. Let me know down below whether you agree with me or if you have any other video ideas for Titan, Hunter, or Warlock. Subscribe and become a member. Now, let's jump right on in. Coming in at number 5, we're going to be doing the Striker Arc Titan. Now, Striker has been a pretty popular one in the past, purely because it's just a really solid melee damage setup. We always had the Thunder Crash super available to us. It has been a really good start and stop one for damage, especially if you combo with the Cuirass, the Falling Star exotic. And also, whenever it got its 3.0 update, we were able to get access to things like thrusters, so we don't have to just depend on barricades all the time. And also cool things like Thunderclap have just turned Arc Titan into like an absolute, just like Captain Falcon punch, all that fun stuff. Biggest reason why this falls into number 5 for this season is purely because it just really doesn't get a whole lot of artifact love. And on its own, I just find it being a little tough on survivability at times. You know, having to really focus into an exotic like Cuirass for the Thunder Crash is just like not really great in my opinion, when I can go into like other subclasses and get a whole lot more out of my supers and all my abilities, and have just like a cooler synergy. Also, I just think a few of the weapons that we have this season that were introduced, things like Dragon Breath, obviously aren't going to help out Arc as much as it does other subclasses. I do expect though to see this actually get kind of juiced up later in the future, hopefully with what they are doing with Void coming into the final shape, where we're getting an extra subclass super and some stuff added to it. We see that in the later episodes for Arc and Solar and Strand and Stasis and all that stuff, but at least right now Arc is at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Sentinel Void Titan. Now, if you've been around my channel, you know that I am a Void Titan boy to my core. I've been a bubble man since day one. Back in the Crota days, I was always, you know, making sure everyone was staying nice and safe and getting those weapons of light bonuses. But at least, again, for season 23, the way that the artifact rolls and kind of other weapon synergies and everything like that, Void just kind of falls by the wayside. Now, I will still say, I think this is one of the cheekiest, cool subclasses to use across the board. You have access to things like Weakening. You have access to, again, like something like Ward of Dawn for constant defense. You have Void Overshields. Honestly, I would say this is probably a better choice for something like PvP rather than PvE, where pretty much most of you have come to my channel for PvE content. Again, do know that this is going to get quite the buff coming into final shape, because of the subclass updates that they're doing specifically for Void for Titan, Solar for Warlock, and then Arc for Hunter. Again, I'm pretty happy that we're getting that update, but again, at least for now, for season 23, this is going to fall at that number 4 spot. Now, at number 3, we're going to have Stasis Behemoth Titan. Now, again, if you watched my previous list, you know that Stasis was at that number 5 spot, but because of the artifact this season and how that is interacting with everything we have, it has been absolutely freaking stupid. I've been really loving using great glacial grenades, obviously because they just have huge AoE effects, and then also a lot of the fragments that we have down below are also really just kind of pushing and juicing into that all the time. I definitely find this to be a really fun one. I really hope we get a further update to this, which actually we should be getting one later down the road. They mentioned in a previous TWAB or TWID or whatever it is nowadays, that there's going to be something known as ice armor coming down the road, which would be pretty interesting. But even just as is, with the bonuses that we've gotten through our artifact, I find Stasis to be absolutely one of the best options. Has really good coverage for different champions, except for like barrier, but obviously we're able to use other weapons and abilities within our artifact this season, take advantage of that. But just in general, big AoE nukes and stuff like that are always going to be a good time. And again, I'm really glad that Stasis had this, just so it's able to kind of shoot up higher in people's minds, but definitely the next two subclasses we're going to talk about are pretty obvious of why they're there. At the number 2 spot, we're going to do Sunbreaker Solar Titan. Now, Again, I think solar has always been, I mean, the most consistent. Obviously, with the introduction of Strand, Titans got a huge buff, especially in endgame content. I mean, you notice like all the top players, all the, you know, ATP, Salted Greppo, guys like that are always using Strand Titan just because it is pretty broken. But we're talking about Solar Titan here. I just has always thought that it has really good coverage, especially post 3.0, with the addition of things like healing grenades being available to us, the artifacts, and the fragments, the aspects, all that stuff has been really fun. Having things like the Pyrogale gauntlets come out and be just an absolute juicer, essentially giving us that Cuirass of the Falling Star effect for our Burning Maul super is really fun. Yeah, and just in general, it's just really great. I probably would have given it a higher ranking if Throwing Hammer hadn't had a recent pretty nasty nerf. And by nasty nerf, I mean it's got like a 1.4 second cooldown on it now, which in reality isn't all that much. But if you've been using Throwing Hammer as long as I have, you definitely notice it. You feel awkward, you feel weird. Having to throw a regular punch in when I want to chuck a hammer is kind of odd at times. But still at the same time, this entire class is absolutely busted with things like Cure, things like Restoration, and also things like Radiant, being able to give us just, again, great coverage for champions, healing, everything across the board. And finally, at that #1 spot, no one really, you know, probably didn't expect this, but Berserker Strand Titan. It is just stupid freaking broken, especially after the introduction of Banner of War Strand aspect. They've even tried to nerf this, and it hasn't even really been nerfed at all. You're still able to get that ×4 Banner of War, constant healing, good melee damage, everything going on for you. Also Into the Fray, giving that easy woven mail, and woven mail in general just being a great way to constantly run around and have damage reduction. I just really like Strand. Strand's so much fun. It does kind of suck though that we had an entire expansion that was essentially Strand the campaign introducing this, and so I was like, oh, the Strand. But at the same time, it's really freaking juicy. It's a lot of fun. I really like Blade Fury just because I never really have enjoyed roaming supers for any class whatsoever, and this has given it actually a really fun one. I like to use my super now, so it's always quite the enjoyable experience. Getting different things like grapple as well, adding a lot of mobility. Again, I think mobility is something that people don't really always focus on, especially for a character like Titan that's supposed to be like the tanky melee punch and all that stuff. Being able to fly across the map real quick and get right into people's faces is always a good time. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoy and agree. If you don't agree, let me know down below. If you do agree, let me know down below. Like the video, subscribe, become a member if you want to help support the channel, and follow me over on YouTube and Twitter at Byrdman778. Hopefully this update that we're going to see in April, the Into the Light event, is really fun. Hopefully we get some extra new things added on. Hopefully we get that Stasis update I'm begging for. But regardless, when Final Shape comes out in June, that should be a really solid conclusion to the series. And do know that I'm going to be giving away a copy of this to members and subscribers to my channel. Obviously, if you become a member, you're going to have a much better chance of doing that. So maybe start now. Oh my God, my voice is cracked. What the heck? Regardless, hope you have a great night, day, wherever it may be.